All right, so let's make a formal introduction for our listener. Good afternoon, Sonia. My name is Claudia. I'm calling you from Washington, D.C. From the studio in Perfect. We're very humble and grateful that Bernardo accepted our invitation to our show. Sonia, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
No problem. Let's go back to the beginning. Were you born like in a musical family? And perhaps how old were you when you started, taking piano lesson or guitar lesson? Bring me back to the early beginning
Uh,
of life.
yeah, so I was born in East Ham, in the 90s. My first introduction to music, I mean, my parents are not musical, but my dad listens to a lot of music, and he was sort of the DJ at the parties kind of thing. I had a lot of influence from him. He listened to a lot of jazz, especially a lot of singers. He really liked female singers, both jazz singers and also Brazilian singers. So we had all the Gal Costa records, Maria Bethânia and all these amazing Brazilian icons. But they're not, apart from that, they're not musical. I mean, my parents they don't play instruments. They never even wanted to play instruments. It's not really a thing. They love music, but they don't, they've never picked up an instrument basically. So when I was in London, I guess my first introduction to music, I don't know, I got given a microphone. Actually, my dad, as part of his DJ set or DJ setup, he had like a microphone that would plug in, and he would be like, and he would only DJ for the family at Christmas. And he would just be like, "Hi everyone, welcome to Christmas 1995," something like that. And that became kind of an obsession with me. So for me, I would go up and sing over the records and just do my thing, to much maybe of the amusement and annoyance of everyone else in my family. But I was, yeah, and then I was given a toy microphone at age and a little keyboard that would play that Wham song, "Wake Me Up Before You Go."
Yeah.
It had a button that would play that. So that was everything to me. And I had like a fake microphone, and I carried that. And I must have gotten that age 6. And at that point, the Spice Girls were coming out. Oasis was a big deal for my brother. And for me, it was the Spice Girls because he's slightly older. And so those two things are, we became my dad, my brother is a huge sort of fan of bands. Like he lives music intensely through fandom of bands, and the same with me. So I was like a super Spice Girls fan, and he was super Oasis fan. And us two together, we were just obsessed with music. And then from then on, I thought this would be my life. There is no other, I can't see anything else for me, really. It was just always the thing. And then when we moved to Portugal, I took the microphone with me. I would take this microphone and everywhere with me. I've got pictures because my grandparents, so we moved from London to a tiny village in Portugal, and my grandparents in Portugal were farmers, and we would have to go and hang out with them in the farm after school, or whilst my parents were working. And I would always take the microphone, and there's pictures of me on the donkey, because they had a donkey, and I had the little microphone with, I would take it everywhere. I don't really remember this, but my mum, there's a photo evidence, and my mum says that you would not, and to this day I still have it. It's pink, it's neon pink and green, and it still
Wow.
works. You sort of sing into it, and it echoes your voice back at you.
Yeah. Wow. Unbelievable. So, do you remember the first time your parent heard you singing and saw, man, this little girl have talent. What can we do to help her out, or it was like that?
I think I don't remember when it was the first time they heard me sing, because I sang throughout and loud and all over the place. I always sang. Um, I wanted to be, I thought this was it, and then my dad was like, right, um, there's so many, so many things happen. So throughout I guess I don't really know. I'm trying to puzzle my history. No one's ever asked me this, so I'm trying to puzzle my history. I think, yeah, I sang throughout. I remember singing throughout my teenage years. It's when it became really sort of the only thing I did. And I sang a lot of Fado, and I got really into Fado because my grandma was into Fado. So and it's an interesting, I love it so much. And it's so interesting to sing as well, and so hard to sing that
Yeah.
I thought that was the best thing ever. And my parents would listen to me. My brother hated me singing. But my parents would listen to me, and I don't think they ever said, "Oh, that's really good." I think not until they saw me on stage, and then they were like, "Whoa, okay, I can now see you as doing this potentially,
Yeah.
as a job." But at home, because I always sang, I don't think they ever paid attention to me.
Yeah. Wow. Were you in a band in high school or?
No, I was in high school in Portugal. I
Yeah.
was part of the orchestra. I played clarinet. Wasn't
Yeah.
very good at it. Wasn't very good at it. I did guitar lessons and all sorts. And then I moved back to England at 17, and that's when I started my band that was called Hazel Black, with my friend Femina, who's now living in Japan, and she was an incredible guitarist. And we did blues covers, and we would go everywhere and do little blues covers. And our first show was at this place called Deja Vu in Reading. That's where we were living because we studied there at Reading University. And we went to Deja Vu, and it was a strip club at that point, and no one came to see us. No one came to see us. So it was just us singing to the girls it wasn't even their shift yet, that they would only come in later on in the night, but halfway through there was always like some up and coming bands, and they booked us. And so they were just there, with their normal clothes, being like, "Oh, okay." So that was my first ever gig with Hazel Black.
Yeah. Then wow, it's amazing. And then you remember the first gig that you ever got paid after that, or?
Yeah, we got paid for a gig at the Troubadour in London, and I
Oh wow.
remember, yeah, it was they did a night for up and coming artists, and I emailed them. I was very I was like, "This is it. We're gonna make it." And we booked the Troubadour, and I think it was sort of £40, and it was £20 each. Not much has changed really. The prices haven't gone up that much, but it was £20 each, and we got the train from Reading to London, and we were so nervous and so excited to play, and we only had to play like 10 minutes because it was a lot of new bands.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really special. That was funny, really special.
Wow. Amazing, man. Amazing, amazing. And I think you remember the first time you end up meeting Phil Manzanera for Roxy Music. I think he saw you playing for what I read on the internet, on a coffee shop or.
Kind of, yeah. It was a year when I moved to London. I did after uni. I did a year where I just did open mics, and I did them. I think 5 times a week, 6 times a week. I was going up a lot, all over London, and near his house in Kensal, there was this one open mic on Wednesdays called Paradise, and it was the best. And I became part of the furniture there, I guess. So I would go on Wednesday if there was nowhere else new to go. I'll always go to Paradise and play, a few of my new songs that I wrote that week. And I'll just play it to the crowd or people that already sort of knew me because I used to go there so often. And once I did my songs, I think the second or third time I went to Paradise actually. So I met Andres, and Andres was Phil's engineer at that point. And he came up to me at the end and he said, oh my God, I love you. I work with Phil Manzanera, and you know, the studio is just around the corner, and I just took a film of you and I'm going to send it to him, and he's going to love you, and you should come by. And I heard that, but I was just like, you know, okay, sure, whatever you
Whatever.
say. I didn't know him, and he was, you know, I was like, okay, cool, don't worry about it, cool, okay, lovely to meet you, kind of thing. And then the next day I get a text, I think a text or a call from Phil, from actual Phil, saying, oh, I saw the video the next day, or the next, it was that week. I got a message from Phil saying, hey, would you like to come over for a cup of tea and to meet and come to the studio? I would love to meet you. I saw the video and I think you're amazing. And I was like, oh my God. So I did go, and the rest is history. I went there, I had tea. I mean, I fell in love with Phil straight away because he is just the kindest and the greatest. And I was so nervous, and he puts you at
Yeah.
ease.
Yeah.
But he said, hey, I've got some tracks. Do you want to go? The first day I was there, I've got some tracks, and it would be great if you could do some, I think it was some backing vocals or some ad libs, some things. And I said, sure. So I went in, I recorded straight away the first day he met me, and the rest is history. And then I kept being called back, and then, yeah. And then the Sound of Blue happened, the band, and then I was
Yeah.
part of that band. And yeah, so the rest is history.
Yeah, that's the 2015 album, The Sound of Blue. And my God, man. So you after that you went home and said, wow, Phil Manzanera, Roxy Music, I'm going to be famous. I made it. And so on. You were very young, right? You 2015, yeah.
I was young, yeah. I don't know how young I was, but I was young. And then yeah, I was young. But yeah, I don't know what. I think then after that I just called my parents, and I was like, you have no idea what just happened. Because I never told anyone that someone approached me, because I truly didn't think it would amount to anything. Because to be fair, a lot of things like this happen and it never amounts to anything. So yeah, so I didn't tell anyone. And then when it happened, when I did go to meet him, it was great. It was really lovely.
Yeah. And then what happened? Because the next album that you worked with Phil was in 2017, right? So the live at the Curious Art Festival. And so what happened between 2015 and 2017? Before, after you helped Phil out with backing vocals on that album, and then so you went back to the real world, your own life, your home. What do I do with this stuff? What do you do between these 2 years before you went back to see Phil Manzanera again?
Well, I think in between, I mean, I guess we were doing bits for that album, but then in between, I decided to release my own EP, which was called Tender.
Yeah.
But I wrote these songs, I recorded them on my laptop, but I had no notion. I mean, I had some notion, but I just thought it was so unnecessary back then to get an engineer, to get into a studio, to get a producer. I thought I could just do it, and very much so I do still think I can do a lot of it myself, which is not good. But that time I was like, there's no mastering, there was no nothing. I just did the songs and I put them out, and they sounded as they sounded on my laptop. Then I just wanted so much that I wanted my songwriting to be heard, even though that was my very first songwriting. And your very first anything isn't the best thing you'll ever do, but I was so cocky that I was just like, let's go, let's put an EP out. So I did that, and then we did the Curious Arts Festival live, and then I don't really know what happened after that. And then I just kept putting EPs out. So then I did oh wait, no, but then we get into Japan. Oh, there's so much that's happened.
That's right. You did Japan in 2017 as well. Yeah, you went actually to Japan with the whole band, actually, with Phil Manzanera's band.
Yeah. And that to this day I think was one of the big, I mean, the opportunities that I've got, that I got from working with Phil have been amazing, and ones that not a lot of people can get to Japan, and it was always a country that it was my dream to go and visit, and to play there was such a dream. And that trip is still the best thing, one of the highlights so far
of your life. Yeah,
of
wow.
my life. It was the best.
And then, so you in 2017, you came back from Japan and said, well, you began putting more, recording at home, creating some EPs, putting where you will posting your music, in Spotify, Facebook, Instagram, where you were uploading your stuff. What?
I upload to SoundCloud, Bandcamp, and Spotify.
What was the reception of people? People emailed you back? People like your stuff? Did they like it? What?
Yeah, I got quite good reception. I mean, yeah. So I was quite happy with what I've got for the. I mean, mind you, it is all very DIY. I don't have a team behind me. So of course the reception, you have to, it's not like a blockbuster artist that breaks through, but I was really happy. Everyone loved it. And I think a cool thing about those EPs are not just the fact that they're very DIY, but also you can truly see a progression. Absolutely. Not only on the way I record, but the way that I songwrite. And you can really see a progression, and you can see me growing up, and also the themes that I talk about. And
Unbelievable. And it takes, as I mentioned, we talked before the interview, it takes time for going from point A or point B. At the beginning, everything is tough, rough, raw. But you need to believe in yourself and go for it, right? Otherwise, nobody will do it for you, right? So the same happened to me many times in life, right? You need to be confident, right? Because otherwise, if you don't believe yourself, nobody else will, right? So you need to make things happen for yourself. I think I read somewhere that you got into music to get your brother's attention. That correct?
Yes.
Really?
I think it was the only thing. No, because me and my brother were really close. We grew up quite close. And when we moved to Portugal, I didn't really have many friends. So my brother was my main friend, which is quite sad, but that was it. That was my reality. And then, he became a bit of a teenager. So he wanted to hang out with his friends, and he didn't want to hang out with me anymore. So I just couldn't really deal with that. My little head, I was little, so I just couldn't compute with that sort of rejection. So I just started doing loads of music. I started to sing. I started to look for more bands and be like, you haven't found, look at the band I found. Like, there was a competition about, seeking new bands and new music. Really? And sharing with him, not out of, before it was a bonding thing, but then it became a competition, and it was to sort of gain his attention. And it was really, and I would sing a lot when his friends were around, and they were all like, just you need to tell her, just and I don't know, I did what I could to get his attention, but very much I think that is still the truth. It was pretty much to get his attention in the beginning.
Do you nowadays at home, you live in London, you go to a lot of live shows, depending on your budget? Is you like to see other bands, you always look for in YouTube or Spotify or many other application that you can always want to see live bands or seek out new artists and so forth?
I always I go to quite a few live shows. I think it's the best way. I don't know, there's something quite magical about seeing an artist live that you can't quite you can't quite hear the artist in an album. You can hear it, but then that's your experience with that music. When you see this live, you very much see you go in, how am I going to express this? You see their version, how they're seeing it, the way they're playing it, the experience they have with that song, coupled with what they're experiencing at the moment, mirrored back to the experience you had with that song. And it's all that sort of translation is the best thing. If you love live music, but it is the best thing you can experience, in my opinion. Not to sound too woo-woo, but I really enjoy seeing them people live. At the moment, to be fair, I do watch a lot of my own friends and people, in the scene, people that I know that are, run shows around in London. I go and see a lot of them. Or if bands that I like are in town, then I'll definitely go and see them.
It's a beautiful thing to spend time and money seeing live shows. I told you before, right? I live close to Washington, D.C., and within Maryland, in the north, and Virginia, where I live, every band come this way. And I mean literally every band come this way. So I'm able to see a lot of show, which is very expensive. My wife say that I have an expensive taste because I see close to between 40 and 60 gigs a year. I want to see one tonight. I want to see another one gig tonight and another one on Saturday or Sunday, and then 2 next week, and so forth. So, and during the summer that is coming up here, I see a lot of gigs. So it's a beautiful thing.
It's it's not the most sort of time productive or financially savvy way to spend your time, because it is expensive, but it's a beautiful life. It's good.
I work hard during the day, you do too, so you can do whatever you want to do with your money or whatever. Some people spend money on other stuff. For me, like I said before, music has given me so much satisfaction. I don't play any instrument. I don't know how to read music. I will never do, but I collect a lot of music. I buy a lot of music. I see a lot of concerts. So I support a lot of different artists. So it's a great way to spend, I suppose, time and money. Before I forget, for some people that they don't know, what is Fado? The traditional Portuguese.
Yeah, Fado is a traditional sort of genre, if you want to say that, from Portugal. Very much like Spain's got flamenco music, we've got Fado music, which is not terribly dissimilar, but it's got it's sort of rooted in a lot of soulful, how am I going to describe it? Sadness and longing for what, it doesn't have to be sad. There's also happy Fado, but it's mainly renowned internationally for its soulfulness and the sort of gut singing, this sort of this really visceral type of singing and performing, songs about very some of intimate stories about love lost or longing for a loved one, or I believe, if I'm not wrong, and I don't know the history of everything of Fado specifically, but what they say, and what I've learned from it was that it was roughly created when men would go out to sea, and then the woman would stay by the beaches seeing their men go, and they'll stay and raise these kids and never knowing if the husband would come back or not. So I don't know if it was created then, but that sort of sentiment of longing, and not just for a romantic partner, for your family, for your kids, for your future. And it's all, you know, done with these with Portuguese guitar. It's just a beautiful experience. If anyone, it's a beautiful genre of music, and it's a beautiful experience if anyone can go to Portugal or see any Fado artists perform. It's just, you don't need to know the language. It really transports you. And to me, you know, it was the best. When I was growing up, I've never heard, and to this day, I mean, I listen to Fado every day, every single day. I listen to some sort of Fado in my playlist. So it is the most, I don't know, it just anchors you. For me, it sort of anchors me for some reason, but it's a beautiful song.
I assume that you speak the language, right? You speak Portuguese, right?
I speak the language, yeah.
Okay, what's for you, man? Good for you. Let's go. Let's go back to some of your. I will mention several tracks that when I was preparing the interview. I listened to your music and to get a good base and a good understanding. Keep Quiet from 2014. What comes to your mind?
That is a deep cut. That is a deep cut. That is probably the first song I've ever recorded. Yeah. And it was a song about something that I probably never even experienced then. I was too young to experience, but I wrote the song about, it's kind of like about the silent treatment, really. You know, when there's some sort of fight in your romantic relationship. I think there I was very inclined, you know, that was where my mind was, I guess. And yeah, Keep Quiet was just a song about the silent treatment, but that's not something that potentially at that point I would have experienced. It was just how I used to write songs then.
Yeah, well, it happened to all of us, right? Being, you know, a family member that passed away, or a friend that you got into a conversation, or a boyfriend, girlfriend, is what make us humans, I suppose, right? So it's people kind of displace their anger, right? Throwing stuff or screaming at people. Other people can keep quiet and isolate themselves and don't return a phone call or whatever happens to be at the time. And or some people to tell you to keep quiet, but you know, in your case, you put all your emotion, all your energy into writing songs, and I think it's a great way. You know, you need to express it somewhere.
If this is shaking, by the way, I've got my cat on top of them. Okay. On this desk, and he keeps just making a havoc.
Yeah, that's great. Don't worry. Another track, the one from Panic Prayers. I like the track Wiser. It's very good, actually.
Okay, yeah, Wiser. Yeah, Wiser was really, I think at that time. I'm a little bit skeptical of telling people like what the songs are really about, but some of them
in general terms, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sorry, my cat is being completely indecent.
How many cats do you have? You have another one in the back.
No, he just jumped from there to there, and now he's doing his business over there. But Wiser was really sort of a coming of age, even though late, but song where it was just a celebration of internal progress, of not just getting wiser, but also thinking. And a lot of it, I mean, I play that song all the time live, but it's you know, should I stay in London? Should I go? It's so hard living here, but all my friends are here and my life is here. Should I stay with this person that's no good? Should I go with friends? Career-wise, you know, are you giving me the money? Are you not giving me the money? I'm too smart for this. I made bad decisions. It's all in that same song. So it is very, it's sort of So Wiser was just you could see a forward motion on my sort of state of being, and that's why that one came about. and it was very sort of empowering. Yeah, it was kind of an empowering song when I wrote it, and I guess it still is.
Yeah. When you playing live, it brings you, can you sort of dissociate yourself, be a performer and playing, or
Yeah.
or memories come to you and you get emotional when you listen to your lyrics again, and then you know what they mean to you? I don't know if I'm asking there a good question.
Yeah.
Or
I
you
think
get emotional
depends.
singing your own stuff, or bring you a lot of
Yeah,
memories back?
I think it depends on the song, and it depends on my state of mind
Mhm.
that day. I mean, I don't know. Songs are quite magical in a way where they can just exist once they're done, and then when you play them live or even play them on the radio, they can transport you to the places either you've written them on, or even the times where you did write that song for. I don't know, sometimes yes. I mean, there's some songs that playing them live sometimes do break me a little bit, but I think that's just the it's part of being an artist and playing live, I guess. You put your innermost deepest secrets into songs, and then
That's right.
and then you have to tell them out loud in front of people, and you're like, what am I doing?
Yeah, exactly. You become very vulnerable, and
Yeah,
you open up to a stranger that pay some money to see you playing live for a couple hours. And they drink beer
yeah,
or wine or whatever people do, and
yeah.
that's what part of the business, I suppose. And from the album, wasn't there? Someone told me for March
Mhm.
2021. I like the track. All You Leave Is Lost. That's a beautiful song as well. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think that, so I wasn't there, someone told me, that EP was so clear to me what all the EP was going to be about. And it was just this feeling that I've been writing, I guess, all my life about being an outsider, because I moved halfway through my childhood to a different country, so there I was an outsider there, and then coming back to England, I'm an outsider. People don't really consider me English, and I'm not, but so being a foreigner here, but then also a foreigner over there, because it's just I feel like I live in the middle of both England and Portugal. I don't know. So I have this foreigner syndrome. That's not a thing. But, I just feel like I don't belong, even
yeah.
in the group where, this is my friendship group. This is my people. And that I know for years and years and years, but I still feel like an outsider. And it's something that I always struggled with. And I guess it's the time, it was at the right time, so I just wrote about it. And All You Leave Is Love is, yeah, it that was, I can't really explain what that one's about.
That's okay.
It's too much of a backstory, how that one came about, but that one sentence, that all you leave is love, it just hit me so hard in a way that it was like the basic truth for all of us, right? It doesn't matter what you do,
Yeah,
what country you're from, where do you belong, don't you belong, at the end you get to, it's all love, good and bad, it's all love. We've all been, we're all together in this thing we call life. So, all you, yeah, it was basically, I can't really explain it.
that's okay. The last one that I found on Bandcamp, I think it was, I think it's called More Muscle from October 2022. although it's a demo, it's very good as well, you know. So
Yeah, More Muscle, I think that one will potentially be in the album. We'll see, because I've been writing quite a few. But
yeah,
yeah, More Muscle, actually, that came from me trying to, I did a day at the gym, and it's nothing to do with the gym, but is when I came back, like, you know, it just, I don't know, whatever entity of creativity came, you know, was just sort of giving me the green light that day. Yeah, I just sat down and wrote that very quickly, and it just all made sense, and it was exactly what I wanted to say in that song. And it's really nice when that happens. It's very rare.
yeah.
So yeah.
So how the inspiration come to you? Like you go to a gym, you go for a walk, you always writing stuff down, or you make it happen. You sit in front of the guitar and the piano, and you say, "I want to write a great song," or the other way around, or stuff comes to you.
I think both. I think the best stuff that I like is stuff that I haven't really forced into
Yeah,
existence. But I do sit down and write and try and write. And some days it's a good day and things just come to you, and what you have to say is there. And it's not just even what you have to say, you have to be quite intentional about channeling whatever it is, because it feels, when for me writing, it doesn't feel like it really comes from me. It's always something else, and I don't know what else, but it just feels like the songs do exist somewhere else. And I know a lot of people say this, but it really does feel that way. It doesn't feel like it comes from you. But when I try and do it, it comes from me. So that's me forcing myself to write, even though I do. And you know, you have to sort of coax, you know, all that inspiration and creativity. So you have to put in the work and really go in and sit down. But the days that I'm really forcing, and I'm like, I gotta finish the song, and it has to have this middle eight, otherwise it would make no sense. That sort of thing. That's when things normally come out, and they're not very good. That's why it's so lovely to start a song. I mean, I love starting songs. The inspiration is there. I know it. I'm like, wow, I'm the best at this. And finishing them is the challenge, because then you have to sort of, you know, give the last stitches, and you have to really make a plan, and you have to really be sure that the inspiration is telling you this is it. And that is so hard, and it's the hardest thing. And I'm known for having, you know, 100 songs, none of them finished. So it's, you know, I think a lot of people struggle with this, but I think the hardest is finishing them. But yeah, both. I sit down and write. I sometimes wait for inspiration too. It's just yeah. Just, I do pay attention though. I try to be as alert as possible to things and stuff that might help me be creative, and that can be a video idea or art things, you know. And
it's what comes to you first, lyrics, or you're playing the guitar, you're doing the guitar thing, and then something comes to you, or it's a combination of both, or
normally not lyric. A lyric, maybe like a sentence.
yeah.
Potentially that would spring me on to be like, that's too good for me to miss and not put in a song. So then I start doing the music, and I have one lyric, but I've never written a song for a poem of mine or something like that. That's never been the case. It's either I have normally I'd say for me, 90% of the time, I need to know what I have to say in this one song. So I very much start with a sentence or just a topical idea of really what I want to, what I want the music to be about and the feeling of the song and things like that. And then comes the music. But a lot of, I would say 10% of the time it would be music first.
I got it. Perfect, man. You mentioned before that you try to release, put together the best of 10 songs or so and release a vinyl in the near future. Feel free to elaborate on how difficult is that to make that happen, so you can, because it's perfect.
I think it's proven to be quite difficult. I feel like I'm making progress now, but yeah, I think I've written all the songs that I want to put out in an album, and I've got a very clear idea of how, the direction of the album would be in terms of arrangements and also artwork and everything that goes with it, which I also really enjoy doing. I think that's the part of being a DIY artist. You have to sort of think of everything, and I sort of enjoy it. I like seeing it as a sort of an art piece at the end. Everything comes together. But so I'm starting to so the songs are done. I just need to record it all, and and then I'm hoping that it will come out this year still.
Yeah, well, if we can do anything to help you out, let us know, because when I listen to you, you're a very talented lady, so you need some help sometime. You mentioned before that you're going to be doing a couple of gigs, 3 gigs in the next month, I think, right? Lay Low, the All Blue Last, I think. I don't know the menus, but
yeah, I'm doing the 5th of May. I'm going to be at Lay Low doing a solo show. And then on the 17th of May, I'm opening for some friends of mine called Viper Time, and that's in the Old Blue Last in East London. And then I have another show at a venue called the Lower Third on the 22nd of May.
Yeah. Why only London? It's possible, easy for me to say, but it's possible to play in other cities, or you need to reach out to a lot of people, or I'm
up for playing in other cities. It's just I don't know as many promoters in other cities, I guess, so I don't get those opportunities. But I would love to play in other cities. Yeah, I think that would be great. And I have played a little bit in Liverpool, Bristol, Glasgow. But yeah, because I'm based in London, I do play a lot of the smaller venues here. But I'd love to play other cities.
Yeah. Well, we need to try to help you out and try to make it happen.
Any promoters this, please invite me.
That's right. And I will put along the interview, I will put a link to your website and your Instagram account, so people can get a hold of you if they're interested. And if not, I need to talk to our friend Phil Manzanera and try to make it happen some way. So I have some ideas in my head, right? So
I know we should go on tour again. We should bring that's something you should talk to Phil about. Get Band of Blue together again, the Sound of Blue together, and we should do more shows throughout the world, because we went to South America as well with them with the Sound of Blue. Yeah, we went to Argentina.
Oh wow! Did you go to Chile?
We didn't go to Chile. You have to make that happen.
That's one thing. What about Colombia? I mean,
well, let's do Colombia. I'm in.
Okay, we need to talk to. I need to. I was planning on calling Phil or sending an email. So actually, I will use, the link to the interview as an excuse, and I've talked to him a couple of ideas that I have as well, and We'll help you out. We'll
Oh,
help,
it would be great.
we'll help you. What kind of music do you listen to when you're not, working or going for a walk? You have like a playlist and you always, look up for
Yeah.
new and stuff like that. Spotify, Bandcamp, and other applications that you.
Yeah, I mainly use Spotify. I'm not proud of it. It's not good for the artists.
Yeah, yeah.
But they are really good in terms of it's just easy to use and they've got most things. I use that and sometimes YouTube. YouTube has a few things that are not on Spotify. And yeah, I do a playlist on Spotify every month.
Yeah.
And that's called Dispatch. One came out today actually. It's called Dispatch 37. And I collate some songs, just a group of songs that I've been listening to or things that I really, really like. And I have my own personal playlist where I add all of those together. So there's been 37 playlists and, I've just add them all together on my personal one. Obviously for everyone else, there's just each playlist. And it gets updated. So if you miss 36, you'll never see it again, kind of thing. So yeah, but I listen to everything from Fado, jazz, French music. That's a new thing for me that I've been listening to a lot. Yeah, a lot of alternative music, new bands here in the UK. It's all quite exciting because I don't know, there's always new bands that you've never heard of and
Oh yeah, yeah.
great, with great music and so it's all quite exciting. I do love listening to new music and I sort of listen to a lot of music, I think, which I know some artists I know most artists listen to a lot of music, but sometimes it gets a little bit much, I guess, if you're trying to make your own music. You sort of need to, chill with that. I think when I'm writing, I tend not to listen to too much, but yeah, I listen to everything really. Yeah, and I got amazing friends that send me music all day, every day. I mean, I get about 10, 15 YouTube links of new music, old music, this morning I got 2 records from Erasmo Carlos, which is a Brazilian icon, I guess, but there was 2 albums that I didn't know. So, there's just and new bands in Brazil. I'm with this label called Solaki Records, and they have all these new bands starting with them, and they have a real community there in São Paulo, and it's really quite exciting. And they always have new songs coming out because there's so many bands. So listening to them, to that sort of side of the world is amazing. There's just so much all over the world, and because we're so connected now, you get to listen to the most amazing things from all over. So yeah, everything. My answer is everything.
I'm very aware that if you're an artist, Spotify is for a ripoff. You get paid 0.006, every time they play. For me, it's great. And I'm sorry to say this, but for me, it's great because I play a subscription of whatever, $10 a month or whatever that is.
Oh yeah.
And I listen to a lot of bands. I listen to a lot of bands, and then make me a recommendation. And when I'm researching for a coming interview, I go there, and I go to YouTube and so on. And I buy a lot of music. I support a lot of musicians as well, and I go to a lot of concerts. So it's it's a great way. Music is great and bring me happiness and. In my life, I couldn't live without music. It's like plants without water or whatever,
Yeah.
So I've listened to, I don't know, at least 2 hours a day from the last 50 years, but every day. I mean, I'm always buying stuff, always buying. And record label, I began doing some collaboration, interviewing several musicians for record label, and they send me boxes of boxes of boxes. And you know, my wife complained what I want to do with that when I would listen. So I listened to have, I did have some way because I have, like I said before, between vinyl, CDs, and Blu-ray, at least around 10,000 or so. Yeah, so I'm always buying art boxes or coming new releases, buy or promotion or record label. So I end up have them give them away because I'm getting old, so I would never listen to stuff. Some of them I give it to my son, but my son is into other stuff. He does like progressive music, so I, you know, which is great. It's a lot of great music and out there, you know. So it's you know,
It's too much. It's not too much, but it's a lot. It's
a
a
lot.
lot of, and it's the best. I mean, I say, yeah, the more the better, really, because
That's right. Yeah.
everyone has a different perspective. Everyone has come from a different place, had a different, you know, life experience. So it's just so interesting to hear and to explore. You know, it's kind of like a little window into whoever's made that song. So and that music. So I say, bring it on. Let's buy more stuff, go to more shows.
That's right. I'm going to be attending. I don't know if you know the artist Marisa Monte from
Marisa
Brazil.
Monte, yes,
Yeah,
Brazilian. Yeah.
she's from Brazil. She's going to be playing here June 30th, and I'm going to see her. And there is another artist from Brazil I really like. I think I need to check in the web, but I think his first name is, or last name is Bebel.
Bebel Gilberto.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen her live. Yeah, she's phenomenal.
She's phenomenal. Yeah, I'm seeing her in a venue close to my house here that I go there to the venue. But many artists in Brazil, man. Jorge Gilberto, Carlos Jobim, and there's thousands of great musicians out there. You know,
Yeah,
so.
they just have it. I do think musicians. I think in South America, it's not just Brazil. There's just amazing. Just I don't know. There's something about it that people just have a different rhythm. They have it, and they just have it in their bones, and it's
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just phenomenal to see. It's amazing.
Yep, it's absolutely correct. Looking back with your life, what do you think are your biggest influences from music? The people you say, well, the following three bands make a big impact on my life, and I always check them out or listen to them. So, any particular one that?
I say the ones that have the most impact as, I mean, growing up, Marisa with a Z, she's a Fado singer in Portugal, and she was a big deal for me growing up, and still is a massive influence. She's got one of the great voices of all time, I think. You know, my grandma listened to a lot of Amália Rodrigues and the classics, but I guess I heard when she was listening to them, but when I was coming up, Marisa was like the new kid in the block, so I listened to a lot of her. And then bands wise, Blur was a big deal. PJ Harvey was a huge deal. Cocteau Twins, Stereolab, who I had the pleasure to go and see one of their gigs recently, and meet Letitia Sadier, which was amazing. So yeah, those were really the bands that I thought. Broadcast as well was another band where I was like, oh, okay, I really relate to them, and I can potentially do this too. I haven't been able to do it at their level. They're phenomenal and so iconic, but they're the ones that have inspired me the most.
Yeah, you mentioned
many.
You mentioned Cocktail Twin. I think hopefully we'll interview one of them next month, or I think you check my mail, maybe in June. I will.
Wow.
Robin Gutierrez and someone else that used to be with Cocktail Twin as well. Well, he was married to, I think his first name is Mary Fraser. That hopefully we'll need to work out the details and the times and so forth. So, and there's a lot of great music out there, man. So I have two more questions. So feel free to mention any artist that you're with that you think we should check them out for everybody looking for some of your friends or some of the upcoming artists in the UK.
Yeah. I mean, the High Lammers, they're an old school band. It's a Sean O'Hagan is his project, and he was part of Stereolab as well. But his own project, the High Lammers, I always recommend it to everyone. They're one of my favorite bands, and I think he's phenomenal. And my friends Viper Time, they're sort of a jazz Afrobeats band, and they're really, really good. There's so many.
There's so many great venues in London, or small theaters, small coffee shop. There are so many bands. Well, in my opinion, the top 3 bands in the history of music came from your country. So, and
I know it's a shame though that now, I mean, it is. I mean, and maybe people see it's like that, but at the moment, I think we're struggling a little bit because, unfortunately, they don't really put arts. The government doesn't really put arts as a main essential for the country. So a lot of these venues are actually closing, which is really, really sad. And it's a shame because the English music industry has been so good for this country financially as well. It is one of our biggest exports. We have some of the best bands in the world from a tiny little island. So many great bands came out of here, and it's a shame that they don't put more money into it. But I just get political there.
Yeah, but why do you think that's the case? I mean, it's let's say if I have money, I buy one of the venues, right, or a coffee shop, and I buy some tables, and I bring musician every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. People wouldn't go. It's bad management. Young folks like yourself, they don't want to go out and listen to the music.
No. I just think it's hard. Like before, there's no support for young artists. There's it's very limited. And I know there's quite a lot of artists now, but back in the day there was a lot of artists as well. But they were able to live in London and do their art and not have to have, you don't hear of, Paul McCartney having to work part-time in an office while he was in the Beatles and things like that. But now more and more, and obviously not comparing to the Beatles, but more and more, even bands that are touring internationally, and they are everywhere, and they are hyped, and they're selling out big venues. I'm not saying an O2, but sort of medium-sized theatres and venues. A lot of them have to supply that life with a part-time job, and that's
really
a lot of them. I mean I work with sort of bands that tour internationally, but they all have a part-time job. And it's just part of it, where countries like France, and I'm not an expert in France, but I have some friends here that are musicians from France, and the government pays for them to do music. So it's like a salary. It's like a salaried thing. They support musicians, so you don't have to have a second job and do that. I mean, I'm talking to you, but I have my laptop open just in case my boss tells something. So it's like this is mad. But a lot of bands that you see in the magazines and touring, a lot of them still have to supply. They have to work.
Or the partner, the wife, the husband, whatever, work so they can raise a family and raise kids and stuff like that. It's crazy. So
especially if you go into those sort of ages where they want to, buy a house, raise a family, it's not many partners that would want to do that on their own whilst you are gallivanting around the world touring, making no money. So it's really difficult, and it's becoming harder and harder. But again, it's a beautiful life, so you got to do it because you love it.
Absolutely. Feel free to mention your website, where people can buy your music, your Bandcamp channel, and so forth. So people can buy your.
I'm Sonia Bernardo on Instagram. My artist name is Bernardo. So on Spotify, I'm Bernardo, Bernardo, and then my website is bernardomusic.net, and there you can find my CDs and cassettes and my merch, I guess. You can also subscribe to my newsletter through that website. I send a newsletter every month, and I answer people's questions. I answer a question a month, and I get some funny ones. So if you are bored and have nothing to do, I think you should subscribe just for that, because I get some mad questions. And I do answer them. I don't shy away from answering them. I'm on YouTube as well. I mean, just everywhere, really, where everyone else is.
Yep. All right, Sonia, it was very nice talking to you. Thanks again. We, off camera, we talked like an hour, and then on the interview, like an hour. It was very nice talking to you.
One thing I didn't know, actually, Claudio, is that this was recorded. Otherwise, I would have dressed up. I'm in sort of my home clothes.
Don't worry. I told you before, Sonia, you are very, very talented person, musician, a good person.
You made me cry.
So I know.
So that everyone knows, Claudio made me cry in the first hour that wasn't filmed.
That's right. Yeah, that's personal. Because it comes down to the following. Like I said before, people. I look from the outside, so the difference between you and I'm not a musician. I'm looking for the, a music connoisseur, if you will, because I listen to a lot of music in my life, right? So, you are very talented, and I don't think it's that difficult to make it, right? But you need a good strategy, right? Don't get me wrong. You need a good strategy to do it. If you don't have a good strategy, nothing will happen, right?
I know.
In your business, the directors or promoter, producer, it's a very corrupt business. I have heard so many stories, and it's like swimming among sharks. It's a good people, and 10% good people. The other 90 are not good. So you need to know what you're doing, trust yourself, and believe in yourself. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen, right? From your point of view, right? From the other point of view, you say, man, producing an album is very difficult. I need to send an email. I need to work. I would like to play more venues, but I need to work. Or, I need, I don't know, 500 pounds to create a CD, or 3,000 pounds to put a vinyl. Money I don't have, maybe, and you need to get a hold of a good recording engineer. But you need to do it. If music is important to you, like it is for me, as a listener, as a consumer of this product, you need to make it happen. Otherwise, it would never happen, right? So I can give you all the advice and all the pep talks that you want for hours and hours, but it needs to come from you, Sonia. You need to look in the mirror and say, well, music is important to me, and I don't care how difficult or how hard it to work. I need to do it. The same happened to me when I opened the radio and I began calling people. I know I'm very shy, and I'm very aware of my accent, and people wouldn't understand the way I speak English. I say, well, you have two options: either you do it or you don't. And I don't want to look back. I say, why I didn't do it? So I don't care. I put myself out there, and it was hard at the beginning. The first 50 interview, the next 50 were easier, and then there are names that I cannot get a hold of now, but eventually I will be talking to everybody. So that's what makes me happy. Going to concert, buy music, support an asset, listen to musicians within my time constraint and money constraint, whatever. So you need to do what makes you happy, and so.
100%. And I will promise you that this year the album will come out this year. I will make it happen.
And I will
will
fly to London. We'll fly to London, or we'll hook up for dinner or coffee, whatever, when I'm there. And
yeah, or when the album comes out, there should be some sort of show to celebrate it, and that
we can do a follow-up interview when the album is coming out, so we can. Of course, I'm here to help out. So
that would be great. Thank you so much, Claudio.
No problem. Have a great afternoon. Thank you. Good evening for you.
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.